Hello, everybody. It's us again, here to continue our intrepid Bluecoat adventures. I am Strash. You can find me on Twitter at StrashA. I use he/him pronouns, and I am excited to step into the shoes of Dravaron as we pursue this bit of a mucky case with half a dozen gangs and all sorts of other problems. Lauren?
Yes, I'm Lauren. I use she, they. I'm at the Stray Kiwi on Twitter. And yeah, I likewise am very excited to see how Maya Tui, recently ex-ghosted investigator, is going to further continue this case, looking into oh god, all the things involved with it, all the people, all the promises we've made, all the obligations. It's going to be rad. How about you, Judd?
My name is Judd, he, him. And yeah, I got my weekends mixed up. I thought I was going to be away this weekend. So I was playing board games with friends a few hours ago. And I looked at my time and I was like, oh no, it's game night. I didn't do any extra prep. And then I had done a lot. I do some front loading prep for each case. And I was like, oh, I've got the case prep done. And I have two player characters who have traumatized out and taken reckless. I don't need to do any prep. Like, what prep do I need to do? Really? At this point, just like, hey, you could do something reckless and get an XP later. What do you say? So anyway, yes, I had a panicky, like, oh no, I didn't do any prep. Oh no, I've got all the prep I need. I'm good. So I'm excited to get to it and see what reckless, amazing the decisions you all make in regarding this case. So excited. Let's do it.
So Judd, do you have? I don't know. Sometimes you have these intros pre-planned. I do not know.
I don't have an intro this week.
All right, cool. In which case, looking at the write-up, it says start with duty, heat, entanglements, and downtimes.
Yes. So we need to get to the mandate, huh?
Yep.
Mm-hmm. I said this during our after chat last time, but one of my downtime.
Oh. Did I? Hang on. No, everything's fine. Everything's fine. Sorry, I accidentally hit back on my Roll20, and you folks can't see it, but on the other side of the screen, like my page just vanished, and I was like, no, come back, OBS. We're fine. Everything's fine.
Yeah, no, I'm excited to make one of my downtime actions becoming friends with the Dimmer sisters.
Nice.
Excellent. So let's do our setup, and then we should probably discuss what our plans are, right? So step 1, duty. The unit earns 2 duty per operation by default. If the unit made progress on the mandate, take +1 duty. Judd, do you want to refresh us on what all happened last time?
Yes. Oh my god, it's such a blur. I think we started with the fire in the Strangford Tower, and I think we saw Maya Tui do her first attunement roll, right? She put her hand on this charred hand spot that burned into the stone floor, and she saw a dapper dressed older gentleman with this metal cylinder, and he opened it, and inside was this burning hand. And now Maya Tui knows that was the hand of Kotar, and that was last week, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And we saw that this person with this magical burning hand, was interrupting a meetup between someone and Lord Skurlock, and yeah, that's where and she got burned. She got spirit burned, whatever that means. Did we also do Maya Tui's exorcism last week too?
We did.
Yes,
Good
we did.
Lord.
Technically,
cover-
the start of the game was us speaking out in the Deathlands. Then we saw the tower burning, and I believe Drav talked to a kid from the Lost and ended up getting some wounds treated. And then we did the whole spirit exorcism, and then we went to the tower with the handprint.
Whew.
And I think I'm forgetting. Remind me if I'm forgetting anything else, but I think there was. We talked to the crows last time. That's where we ended. Was with the
Yeah.
the circle of crows and talking to Alyssa and finding out some stuff.
I don't forget anything, but my problem with remembering is that we get so much done. We cover a lot of ground. It's kind of shocking. So I'm like, no, that didn't all happen last week. That must be like 4 weeks, and I'm just like condensing them. But no, it's 1 week. Yeah, the crows were ready to. I mean, Lisa was ready to throw you to the crows, so to speak, and you all turned the tide on her and got her to talk about what's going on. And
she
what was the final
result?
Yeah, I mean, she murdered Rorik, which you guys have been circling that information for 2 or 3 cases now. There's
2 more pieces that we should probably discuss.
Yeah.
One of which is that we talked to the Wraiths briefly, and we'll talk about how Strash sometimes makes promises he can't keep. So what we talked to the Wraiths about is about them pulling their support from the war, and they said that they would only do it if they and their people can disappear. So Draft was like, find a place for 40 people to stay away from the sight of invisible people with infinite money in Duskfall. No problem. And the other thing that we should probably talk about is we convinced, I do not remember her name, the woman, the hive woman.
Oh, Dejira?
Is it Dejira?
Yeah, it is.
All right, hang on.
Oh, she's so cool. Dejira Maha.
Oh yeah, she's the villain of the piece, if I recall correctly. But we convinced her. Remind me of this. I remember that we talked to her briefly the morning after with all the burns and everything, and we convinced her to take on the Dimmer sisters as part of her alliance, right?
Right. Yes.
All right. Cool. And in the process of talking to Alyssa, we found out that Dejera is pushing for it. She's also aiming for Alyssa. She and Rorik used to be an item, and she blew up trains to raise the prices of wheat in Duskfall, as from what I understand. Which is information we've heard before, so it's like more corroboration than anything. It's just we got to figure out how to tie everything back to her in order to make an arrest at the end of this whole fiasco.
Yes. Yeah.
Does that sound, at the end of it all, does that sound fair?
Yeah.
All right. Cool. So, did you mark duty on our sheets?
I have not yet. No, I will do it right now. Duty. Is that under rep? Or is that something totally different?
Yeah, we just used the rep section.
How many? Just 2?
Well, the Bluecoats sheet says 2 duty per operation by default, which we did, so it would be like 2. And then +1 if we made progress.
Yep.
And then it's got some extra stuff about completing rows of mandates, but I don't think we've done that, so.
Right.
All right, cool. And then heat. After an operation or conflict with an opponent, the unit takes heat equal to double the tier of the highest tier subject involved. We didn't really arrest anyone or go head-to-head with anyone. Do you folks have... I mean, it is possible that, considering that we're mucking about with our fingers, the unseen could come down on us like a ton of bricks, but I don't know what that looks like in terms of heat.
Yeah. I feel like you basically made steps to destroy their alliance.
We did. And I would count that as a job, right? So, in particular, so my question is, does it go off now because we kind of got the Dimmer sisters to pull their support, but they were on shaky ground to begin with? Or does it go off if we manage to stash the Wraiths?
Let's have the Wraiths be the trigger point.
All right, excellent. Cool. And then paperwork and entanglements. what do we field for paperwork, and what do entanglements look like? So here's the question: do we do paperwork? The answer is obviously.
Yes.
So then, what do we write in our paperwork? Do we write what actually happened? Do we cover for the blue, or do we throw someone under the bus? So I have a question for Maya.
Mhm.
There are a couple of tricky things that we can't talk about directly. One of those tricky things is listing what you saw when you touched that handprint.
Yes.
We should probably not tell the Immortal Emperor that you're learning a tune from illegal sources. So, my question is, how much of that scene do we want to describe in our report?
Oh. I feel like is it better to just like sort of completely omit it because like
That's fine.
we know who's involved like in terms of the alliances. We spoke to people in said alliance and have like kind of sussed out people's like motivations and intentions around the war. Yeah, that's my thinking.
Okay. So no, that sounds good. So maybe we just write down what we found out through mundane means, right? Like interviewed a member of the Lost. These are the accounts that we found. Here's some supporting evidence. Here is, there is a thing in the tower at this point. Freaking spirit wardens are probably all over it. Call it a day. Does that sound good?
I think so, yeah. But it does raise an interesting point for like if I do more of the attuning, it's going to be an interesting thing to try to explain to the Emperor in time.
I don't think the Emperor is necessarily going to have a big hullabaloo about it. Like, the Emperor is obviously a powerful wizard. We're not making contracts with elder gods. We're not summoning magics, and unleashing them. Where you're using a tune in a very mild fashion, and I'm sure that most of his, like, operatives are, let's say, a little bit less than just purely human. I think the problem is if our superiors get a hold of that information, or the courts, or something like that. Like, that's where it gets tricky. So
Oh yeah. Do not want another court scene with the lawyers like
you don't want the
da.
spirit wardens coming for you, just to
Yes.
make sure. So,
Totally.
all right. Cool. So I think that Judd, I think it's entanglements time.
Cool. So we roll 0d6, yeah?
You roll 0 dice, yes, and we'll read the result accordingly.
Yep. So 2d6, take the lower.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. 4. Same rivals are in the sheets.
Yep.
Neutral faction throws their weight around. They threaten you, a friend or contact, or one of your vice purveyors. Forfeit 1 coin per tier of the rival or stand up to them and lose 1 status. Let's look at my little Rorik War map. Cool. I know what's going to happen.
I always like hearing that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Rivals, right? Neutral faction. Yeah. Look at the map one more time. Cool. So Ulf Ironborn. Yeah. Ulf Ironborn shows up to a card game at the Cat and Cradle that you are playing in Drav. And he shows up on time, and he's wearing his feast day best, and the grandmothers and aunties are all charmed. And he sits down and starts playing, and they have no idea who he is. Maybe someone does. There are probably a couple ex scoundrels in the room, but he sits across from you and says, "How's work going?"
Damn. Strash taken speechless for a hot second. Let's take a look. I think Drav says like, oh, how work can be sometimes so busy that it's practically like the office is on fire.
Hmm. No doubt. No doubt. Yeah, they're calling it the Rorik War out on the streets.
Why are they calling it that?
No one knows. No one knows. Apparently, he's some dead crow who used to keep the peace, and they're saying that he was the little thing that kept the whole oven from going on fire. It's funny, a little piece can fall out, and that can happen. And from what I hear, things are dimming down. Like it looks like this thing might be quashed. So it would be a shame if me and the grinders were to jump in on a side, really get things going again, give it all a little energy.
Depends on which side.
True that. True that. And for 3 coin, you can choose that side.
I hate
Sergeant.
You so much. Oh shit.
I fold.
He
says, and he's like, I fold. I've got nothing. Sorry, ladies.
Hang on. I gotta look at my sheet. I don't know that I have 3 coin, even if I wanted it. No, I have 2. I have 2 coin. It's not enough. It's just not enough. We have 2 coin on our sheet. Maybe. Let me think about that. I think there's a moment where yeah, I know what the mechanics are. The mechanics are gonna end up shooting me in the foot. But I think I like there's like a moment where I'm like playing with my cards, playing with my cards, and then I put down a much better hand than I should. And I just look at Rorik and I say, "Fold, huh?" And I say, like, this is all bluster. This is all just like conversation because I don't have the coin and I know what the mechanics are. But I look at him and I say, the difference between you and me is you know when to fold. And I tap my cards and I go, I don't give up. So be very careful about which side of that war you end up on.
So you don't want to have an effect on this?
I can't. Like I have to either spill the like there's I mean it's mechanically locked, right? Like it's
yeah.
There it is. Sorry. It's what I have to pay them 1 a coin per, or we're at what, -1 status.
Yeah.
I'm double checking rivals there.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's -1 status.
I'm like,
that's fine.
I think I look at him and I say, like, look, man, I know you're looking out for your people, and I know that, and we've worked well enough together in the past, but you're shopping for money where there is none to be found.
That's too bad. Good luck to you.
To you as well.
Yeah, he walks.
Damn it. Yeah, there's nothing I can do about this. This is gonna explode in our faces. It's okay.
It's okay.
All
We
right.
can blame Quail.
We can blame Coil. Yes, I will tell John Harper that our game is in the poops because he cannot play tonight and we couldn't take his money.
Exactly.
All right. Ouch. That was a little rough. That was a little rough. I feel
Cool.
it.
Good.
Okay.
Cool. I knocked it down.
All right. Awesome. Next up, faction statuses and local clocks. Killing, arrest, and clocks. I don't think we arrested anyone. I don't think we killed anyone. Technically, Alyssa killed someone, but I'm not sure that's on us, per se. I feel like there are some local clocks that we maybe look at, because I feel like safety and security has been going down, and criminal and occult influence have been going up.
Yes.
You tell me.
Yes.
You tell me if I'm wrong, because like we've been slowly like reducing the crime rate, but like with the explosion of the tower and the fires and the newspapers talking about it, it definitely doesn't feel that way.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I think it's one of those situations where you're doing good work, but it's good, you're hauling good buckets in the middle of a huge conflagration of a fire, and
yeah.
it's just the bosses might not see it.
All right. Cool. So now we're into downtimes.
Splendid.
Excellent. Having just been able to befriend the Dimmer sisters, I realize I'm very stressed out and very hurt. So I'll see if that's possible.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to vice too. Do you want to go first, or?
Yeah, I can do some vicing first.
Okay.
I think this just looks like. I don't know. This is like the first time I've gone vicing without my grandmother and me, right?
Right.
So I feel like it's. I'll see how the dice go, but I feel like stepping out into the Deathlands without my grandmother, it's that kind of eerie, weird quiet that's like noticeable, because
Yeah.
I'm so used to sort of like having that white noise of her spirit in the back of my head that going out into the like big wide open is like both a relief and quite daunting, because I feel very alone. And I will see if Maya enjoys being alone. Oh no, I got a 3. So it goes okay. But
I mean, 3 vice is 3 vice. Or
Yeah.
3 stress is 3 stress.
Yeah, I like the idea that you and Issa go for a ride and it's just very quiet. There's just like a quietness to it that wasn't there before for you. Nice.
Yeah, I feel like it's very like quiet. Like we don't talk much on that ride. It's very like companionable silence as you can hear kind of like the gallop of horses on the ground, and like the occasional like moan or like ghostly moan of like beings out in the distance, and like the wind. It's otherwise quite quiet.
Totally. Awesome. What are you doing to decompress?
Actually,
Rob?
let's have a quick chat here, Maya. So obviously you have to vice to take care of your wounds, but your wounds are probably going to get taken care of partially by speaking with the Dimmer sisters, right? Because like this is not the kind of stuff that you can put salve on.
Yes.
What do we want to do in terms of stratagem, right? Like we've probably gotten a couple of factions that are a little bit salty about us, but the we still don't know much about the unseen, right? Like we talked to the wraiths, and the wraiths have agreed. Oh no, wait! I have a clock for finding the unseen. Is that on my sheet? I have it on this piece of paper. Let me just double check. Do I have that? Find secure place to stay. Maya's friend. Naming a spirit warden. I'll have to go back through my notes at some point. All right. So like we don't know who the unseen are. Like we can't name them yet. And we know that for allies, they have the Circle of the Flame, who are very powerful, and off the top of my head, I can't name them, and I think they're probably outside of... They're not the kind of criminal enterprise that Drav would have connections to, so, like, I couldn't easily just be like, oh, yeah, it's these folks, right? And we know that they have a Hand of Kotar, right? So, like, if we are going to tackle them, or look at them as... Like, I don't know if we just, like, let the war play at this point, because... Like, do we find housing for the wraiths and then let the war play out? Like let Dejera Maha take on the what are they called? The Unseen and the Circle of Flame? Or do we look to meddle in that more? Because it's complicated, right? Like, I'm not sure what are further steps we can take to stop the war. Like at this point, we kind of need to get them to talk and maybe like broker a deal, like get them to a table, particularly once the wraiths disappear. But I'm not 100% sure how to do that, particularly when we don't know who the shit we're supposed to be talking to in the first place, right? So what's our next steps? What's our next moves?
Yeah, well, I know last time one motivating factor was to like try and pin everything on Dejira, just because.
Do we just want to investigate that more? Do we want to like dig up more facts on her? It's not our mandate. We're going to be acting slightly at cross purposes. Like we can go back over the evidence with the trains. We can talk to the railjacks. We can look at like other we can go to the university and see if there are other factors in the city that have been manipulated by crime.
Yeah, if I recall correctly, I think like we had Maya and Drav had a conversation where it's like pitting this on Dejira isn't part of like the mandate, but she's the one who's like instigated a lot of this stuff, and she's the one kind of to like blame for a lot of the things that have happened.
And I think that that's true, but I think that we have so let's talk about this as like player to player, right? Maybe we divide up our time, right? In our downtimes, we research Dejera and we acquire assets, work clocks. We talk to Judd about how we are trying to build evidence on her. And then during our uptimes, like in our physical actions, we actually try to we try to broker a peace, strip people of their support, just like try and tramp down on the reactions that we're seeing, right? Because like I don't care as much about the fact that they don't like each other. I care a lot more about the fact that they're lighting people on fire.
Yes. That sounds sensible. Okay. I'm on board with that plan.
Okay. I think we can probably make that work. All right. So what was your question to us then, Judd?
I don't believe I had a question.
Okay. Then should we just continue with downtime actions?
Yes.
All right. Excellent.
Do you have questions?
No. I just realized that like I have to be like dealing with my war clock, so I'm like clicking on a couple things. I'm good.
Okay. You should deal with your war clocks.
I'm good. You go ahead, but I can do that in the background. It's all good.
So Maya, I was thinking about getting us a bigger gun.
Ooh, that sounds fun.
I feel like right now there are two major factions, right? Like we've got the Jera faction, which has like 3 subgroups, and 4 now if the Dimmer sisters have switched sides, and it's kind of like this ball of wax, right? And on the other side we only have the Unseen, who spend most of their time hiding, and they apparently have near infinite amounts of money. And there is the Circle of Flame, who I know very little about. But it looks like they're willing to bring portable artifact nukes to negotiations. So who knows what the reactions are going to be like. Do we... I feel like if they're... So, like, when we go to the Jera, she kind of listens to us because we're getting results, right? But the problem is that right now we don't have a lot of dialogue with the other side. So... Yeah, Judd,
Yeah.
what do we know about the Circle of Flame? Because they're the only exposed faction, right? Like, the Unseen are still cloaked, right?
Yeah. Do you want to make a roll and let's see what you know?
Sure. What kind of a roll is that? I mean, it's a fortune roll, but, like...
Yeah. Is it just your your faction strength? I mean, do we want to go with that? Do we want to, tell me what else you think would work?
I feel like maybe observe to like I would have like a probably not. I don't know. Let me think. I was gonna say like we could pick a skill and just make a fortune roll based on that.
Okay.
Question: testify, assault, pursue, secure, exploit, observe. So exploits is like talking to people and getting them to tell you stuff. Relate is like talking to people and getting them to tell you stuff because they like you. Observe is like I would use observe, which is weird because it's like what did I notice or hear in the past maybe, and then like we can add or subtract one die based on allies I might have, how good they are at covering their tracks, and or how famous they are, right? Like everyone's heard of the Crows. It doesn't matter if I've talked to them directly or what my status with them is. Even if my status is like super shitty, I know who they are, right?
Right.
So what do you think?
I'm not sure I understand what the question is.
All right,
I heard everything you said. Roll, it made sense to me.
Observe fortune roll. Do I get any bonus or minus dice?
I don't think you do.
Okay, so just one die.
Yeah.
You can do it.
I mean, last time I rolled my one die, it came up with 6. So, what does
I feel like these folks are well outside of your purview. You know.
I mean, yeah. So Jack. All right. So maybe we.
Yeah,
have to...
I think what you hear is whispers of I don't want whispers a bad word to use for this, but you
whispers of whispers might work.
you hear a lot of hearsay, that there's a lot of rich people digging into the occult together, and unlike I think like the thing that people say, here's like the phrase that keeps coming up is like, this isn't like some idiot uncle doing a little bit of a weird seance. Like, this is something a little more intense than that.
Yeah, I noticed. Okay. Cool. This leaves me in a nasty spot.
Yes. Good. Yay, nasty spot.
That's roughly what my gaggle of cops also has for me. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think cops have shit on this.
Awesome, and the investigators don't know anymore either, huh? Yeah, this is probably freaking. I'm not talking to the spirit wardens. I am not. I refuse to judge. You can't make me. All right. I don't know what that roll was, but that's terrifying.
That is terrifying.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Here's the deal. Maya,
Mm-hmm.
I have a request for you.
Of course.
If you can use your connections and our spare group thing to acquire an asset for our wraiths to hide, we talked previously about for those of you that clearly are not privy to our downtime discussions, I asked Lauren about Maya and like, did Maya go to college in the Imperial City to learn how to be an investigator and things like that. So if you could take a look at your contacts or whatever and see if you can dig us up a place that we can stash these fine folks. I will see if I can find out enough about the Circle of Flame from terrifying sources in order for us to maybe be able to at least confront them or talk to them. So yeah, okay. So Drav, before the two of you split off to go do your things, comes to Maya and actually says, "All right." He like hands you an envelope. It's like sealed, and he says like, "This is a report that I need you to give to the Spirit Wardens if I don't show up by tomorrow."
I think like Maya takes it instead of like just an eyebrow at Drav and is like, "Of course?" Like question mark is in like, yeah.
The problem that we have right now is that we do not have a lot of access or knowledge, right? Like, and we are in the wrong access or knowledge pool, right? Like, investigators and cops don't know a lot about rich occult societies. So we could theoretically dig, but we have to kind of figure out what our next move is. In order for us to figure out who our next move is, we need to talk to somebody who would know who these people are, how to get a hold of them, how to deal with them, right? Like, if somebody is digging into the arcane, we need somebody who knows a hell of a lot about the arcane. And at the moment, I am thinking that the enemy of my enemy is my friend. So I'm about to go do something catastrophically stupid. I just want a little insurance to make sure that I show up tomorrow.
Very well.
Okay.
I trust you in your endeavors.
I'm planning to go to Old Skurlock Manor. Now, the reason I'm not asking you along is because if both of us are there, he's just gonna eat us. But I'm hoping that in your vision, since we saw Lord Skurlock get attacked by these assholes, he's gonna have a vested interest in having somebody go after them and make their lives difficult.
Does Drav tell Maya that he's going to Lord Skurlock, or is it just like the envelope of like, please deliver this if I do not turn up tomorrow?
No, I think Drav does tell you that. Because here's the thing, like, the two of you are pretty much on the level, right? Like you're not lying to each other. We're working this case together. Drav is very quiet about personal affairs, and he tries to hide his friends because he doesn't want people that are in his personal life to get involved with his professional / criminal life. So, like, in that regard, he sometimes gets a little cagey, but for the most part, he actively trusts you. You are friends. Like, I made a clock and I worked the clock, and now we are actually friends. Like, we're on our list, right?
Yes.
So I think I trust you. I'm like, okay, so that's what I'm planning to do. It sounds incredibly stupid, but I don't have a better idea.
I think like Maya puts a hand on Drav's shoulder and like looks him very seriously in the eye with her brown ones now because they're no longer violet. And says, if it were anyone else, I would wholeheartedly question this approach. But I've seen you get away with some very ridiculous and chaotic things and come out shining like a sun. Yeah, I think that's what she says.
Is shining as the sun a compliment?
I think so, yeah. I think she's
Okay.
thinking back to like the visions that she had of like Kotar and like all the burning bright stuff. That's
Unfortunately, I never saw those, so you may have described them though. But I'll take it. Okay. All right. I think this is a dumb plan, but it's the only plan I've got. So cool. All right. Do you want to roll your recovery / acquire assets stuff?
Yes. Yeah, let's I'll perhaps go see the Dimmer sisters to heal my spirit burns while you're going to Skurlock.
All right. Sounds good.
Cool. Wow, yeah, that's a whole thing. It's not just like, hey, make a roll. Um, cool. Yeah, I think we open that scene where you're in their parlor again, and Rosalind comes out, um, and she says, I trust everything's well with the exorcism we performed."
Indeed, the exorcism itself, I feel no after effects, but
Good.
where I am experiencing trouble is my lack of capability with the arcane. I may have hurt myself doing something rather foolish.
And you need guidance?
I need healing, if that is something you are capable and willing to offer.
It is. Um, we we can't offer that for free, though.
I suspect as much. What is there a price that you have in mind?
How the type of wounds that can be taken by those who attune themselves to the ghost field can be very personal. So we don't really like to put a price on it. It's not like a bullet wound. How much
I
is it
see.
worth to have this healed to you?
It's the pain of it does not linger the same way the pain my grandmother inflicted upon me. This feels more like a deep burn or a scorch. Um, it
May I ask the nature of the burn?
I I experienced it after I attempted to procure a vision of the recent past upon an investigation.
Mm-hmm.
The information that I garnered from the experience, would that be worth payment?
Depends on the information.
Well, I can assure you it pertains to this very situation, this very war that we are embroiled in.
Were you burned by the hand of Kotar?
I think Vi actually blushes. And like
That's a reaction.
and like the sort of very like on the nose, like thumb on the pulse comment and nods.
We know that they took it out and that it was used to attempt to hit Lord Skurlock. Um, I didn't realize that you had been touched by that fire.
Indeed. I would you like to see the moment it happened? And I think like Maya offers out her hand to like sort of like impart impart that vision to like sort of cleanse it from her own mind and like give it to Rosalind.
No. Rosalind, like when you put, matter of fact, when you put your hand forward, Rosalind, like her, like goes back in her chair. Like she like physically moves her chair back. He says, "No, I do not want to see that moment at all. That's a very dangerous burn."
Very well. I
Have you
think
ha-
Maya retracts her hand.
have you had any dreams?
Mm, none yet.
Have you seen any strange people following you?
None that I'm aware of.
Um, Healing that wound requires going on a bit of a journey. You have to You have to cleanse Kotar out of you, and that can be very difficult. Cleanse Kotar's burn off of you. It can be challenging.
I
We
see.
can put you in a place where that can happen, but you could fail.
I suppose it is just my luck that as soon as I have one entity out of my mind, another one fills that void. It is worth the risk. I do not want to ever again have someone so deeply rooted in my own mind to leave such an imprint upon me.
Allow me to speak to the Dimmer sisters. And she gets up and walks out of the room. Definitely the first time she's talked about like the Dimmer sisters as if they're people and not like a cool nickname that also means the moon. And she comes back and she says, we'll put you in a place where you can heal it. You still might not. And our payment is that we will watch the effort. Is there someone close to you who could help you?
I think like Maya immediately thinks of Drov.
Right.
You're working.
And like sort of considers him for a moment and says, he is presently otherwise disposed.
All right. Then let's try this on our own then.
Very well.
She leads you down through the house, this labyrinthine haunted house, into a basement where there is definitely like the Victorian version of that tank Luke Skywalker was in Hoth, you know? And yeah, I think they bring you like a rubber suit with like places where you can be hooked in and hinged, and they say, we will need you to get into this.
I think like the look on Maya's face is very much like, oh, this is not going to be very elegant.
Right.
But she like grits her teeth a bit and nods, and if this is what must be done, then of course. And then
yeah. Just a quick question to Strash. Strash, at this, is your next move to go to Skurlock's Manor?
Maybe. Why?
Okay.
I'm game to be a little flexible.
Yeah. I figure we could just go back and forth between these two incredibly creepy things if you want.
Rad.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's fine.
Cool. Because I feel like this. Yeah. Cool. Rosalind puts you in hinges, and 3 pairs of young ladies in black lace dresses, high collars, eyes glowing blue, holding hands, floating 2 feet above the air, surround the tank. And another woman who you recognize from the exorcism comes in and like works the winch that literally picks you up and like lowers you into this tank of solution. And then they give you a mask to go over your face. And yeah, it's not dignified, without a doubt. And you're lowered into the tank, and I'm going to tell you this before you cut. You're lowered in, and a helmet is put over your head, and it's kind of sensory deprivation, and you start to hallucinate, and there's this bright light, and it takes you a while to realize that what you're looking at as you're hallucinating, and electroplasmic radiation is pulsing through you at weird frequencies to try to attune to this weird burn that you got, is what you're looking at as you have this weird flashback dream sequence, whatever the fuck it is, healing journey, is the blue sky.
Oh wow.
And it just hurts your eyes. Like it's on one hand the most beautiful thing you've ever seen, on the other hand the brightest thing you've ever seen. Nothing gets brighter than dusk or dawn here, than dusk or twilight. And you there's a bright light and then another light with a different quality, and you look up and clouds are rolling in, but like as they're rolling in, they're covering the blue sky. And you see someone pulling the clouds over the blue sky, and you hear him say, "Kotar, I need your help." And then he's talking to you, and you know that, and then we'll cut to Drav. Drav.
As a point of note, before we cut, just systemically, there's a thing called abilities and permissions, where if you undergo certain experiences, you may be able to buy powers that you could not otherwise acquire. And the book encourages you to write your own. And the reason it's designed that way is because nobody can anticipate random shite that happens in a game. If you want to, like, watching you make people afraid with this spirit fire that is about you that others can't see, if you want to design abilities and permissions surrounding that, that might be a cool thing. If you want to get rid of it, that's probably the smart thing.
Dang, why did you tell me this?
Yeah, we could totally do that. I would love to do that. That'd be great.
That's amazing.
I want people to make good or bad decisions and like have fun with wild stuff. So
Nice.
channeling the flame of Kotar could totally be a thing.
Oh god, dang it!
Nothing wrong with that. No, it's could completely not hurt you, I'm sure.
I'm totally not writing a note about this on my character sheet right now.
So I think so Judd, yeah, I think I'm in a old fucking creepy mansion. Yeah.
So you are you just walking up? What are you doing?
I mean, I assume that Skurlock Manor has been abandoned for some time, and nobody goes in there because there's all sorts of stories that occasionally people disappear in there, is why there aren't gangs that are housed in it, or like kids that go there and have drinking parties or whatever. So yeah, I think I am just going there because I don't really have, it's not like I have an introduction. It's
right.
I'm doing some math, right? Like we know that Skurlock was in the tower. I do not know if he was hurt or not by the flame. We do know that he jumped out and dropped down. I think you said 7 stories, right? So
yeah.
Whatever the case is, he probably looked for a place to lay low. And since we're in 6 towers and Skurlock Manor is in 6 towers, I figured if you are injured and or scared, you're going to go to something that you know, or that feels like comfortable and safe ground to you, but is not for others. So my guess is that this is where he's holed up. And if he's injured, he's probably having trouble finding a way to heal. And if he's not injured, I could be in deep shit. And we'll see. I'll talk fast. I'm sure I can relate to Lord Skurlock. We have so much in common. I mean, he's a couple thousand years old. I'm a couple of years old. It's all the same. Right?
Yeah.
Does
like
that
the
mean
same
you
thing.
We're fine. So yeah, that's what I'm doing. I think I'm going in, and I'm trying to find it. Like, obviously he's not going to be like sitting in the dining room hall having a cup of tea, but I figure like I'm gonna go look and try and figure out where the hell is like entrance to this sub basements and things like that is. I've seen what the hell the Dimmish sisters do. I'm assuming he's got the same kind of jazz,
Jazz.
Impress me, Lord Skurlock. I've seen this before.
No, I'm actually super scared and impressed very much. It's just that I expect that if he finds a spunky cop who is potentially calling out to him, and there are no spirit wardens in sight and or evil people with hands of Kotar, he may actually talk to me. And if he doesn't, he may talk to me at a much less opportune moment for me, but I'm hoping. So anyway, that's my plan, Judd. It's a great plan. How do we want to handle this?
Uh, I mean, you're just walking into the front door?
Yeah, yeah. I'm gonna go running around Old Scarlock Manor. That's right.
Cool. Uh,
Just tell me if when something happens. I mean, it could just be like
yeah.
nothing happens. He's not there. You get bored. You go home.
The windows are boarded up. The door is locked. What do you do? The classic role-playing game question. And I think there is like a demon head knocker on the door.
I knock.
Cool.
I wait. I'm not actually expecting him to open the door for me, and then I'm gonna go looking for an alternate entrance in. If I can't find another one, I'm gonna knock through a window.
Okay, yeah, you knock, you wait.
Was worth a try.
Yeah, and you start looking at windows, and then when you look back, the door is creaked open.
I say to absolutely nobody, I will take that as an invitation. It means I'm a guest, and then I'll walk in.
Awesome. Yeah, it's this worn, blood red carpet on the ground, threadbare, and you can hear it leads straight to stairs go like straight through this big house, and you can feel that like there's a like it's good, it leads to somewhere subterranean, like you can feel that gust of like kind of wet underground air, but somewhere to the left through the rooms you can hear like someone moving, like almost like they're sleeping, and they're like moving around fitfully, you know?
I'm gonna take a peek. Just because I'm not. I wait 2 seconds to see if there's an indication of where I should go. And
Yeah.
if there isn't one, then I'm gonna check on the thing that I know for sure before I go crawling around caves.
Cool. You end up you walk into a dark sitting room, and on a couch that's kind of cattywampus because like one of the legs is broken, is a young man, and on the side of his neck is like a scar, is like a not a scar but a char mark, like he had some kind of a electrical burn on his neck, and his skin is a little waxy, and you recognize him right away, because about right as you became a blue coat, there was this really famous case where one of the city councilor's kids, Brace Dunville, went missing. And you remember it because he was in all the papers. It was just like a famous case, like, oh, I'm going to bring the Dunville kid in. And there he is. I mean, like the Dunville kid is like, I mean, it's just like, it's almost a joke, like, oh, don't do this, like it's the Limburg baby of Duskval, and there he is, and he doesn't look a day over 17 from the last time, which is how old he was when he left, and he's wearing like a night shift, and he kind of like, who are you?
I think what I tell him is I say, I actually say, like, I'm a Bluecoat sergeant. I'm Sergeant Iran. I'm here to speak to the master of the house.
Oh. He's around. He left for a little bit, but he's around. He'll find us. I'd get you something. I'm a little disoriented.
Sounds like it should be the other way around. So Drop does something absolutely fucking mundane. Is there a kitchen on this floor?
Um, yeah, there
I'll make
is.
tea.
Cool.
I assume there are kitchen implements. If it's like all covered in cobwebs and like never used for 100 years, different story. But I assume there is enough kitchen stuff for me to puzzle through making a teapot.
It is covered in cobwebs. You could wash it off and try to use it if you want.
Yeah, I think I'm doing it.
Cool. I think like you have to like run the faucet for a little bit because it just runs gook for a bit, and then like finally it gets to running water, and you put on a pot of tea, and and bring it to him. When you bring it to him, he's asleep.
That's fine. I'll have a cup of tea and leave one for him and sit there.
Yeah,
Or I'll do the traditional thing. Like, I assume that these folks don't have, like, sweet tea bags and stuff like that because that wasn't... I put the tea leaves in his cup, but I leave the water next to it so that he can make tea when he, like,
nice,
mumbles awake.
And I think like you put the tea and you're like ready to turn and go, and when you turn to leave him alone, a man is standing there in a in like a long old fashioned robe or gown that a man would have put on when he was like woken up in the middle of the night. Um, and he one of his arms is in like a sling. Is like, do you always make tea when you're invited into people's homes?
I always make tea when I encounter somebody who seems like they're ill and they need something.
Hmm. How polite.
Blame my mother.
Come, have a seat.
I do.
I would offer you better hospitality, but the help is slim these days.
No need. I'm here on business. And I understand the situation. Do you know who I am?
Uh, he does actually.
Oh, fuck.
So
No!
Oh dear.
But does he answer that?
Interesting thing about Lord Skurlock is that like doing this has made me look at all the fractions really carefully. Allies, city council, bluecoats, inspectors.
Ah.
You are the City Watch liaison, the sergeant of the City Watch liaison. Are you not?
Yeah. Yes, I am. Do you know? Actually, I don't. I tell him the case that I'm working right now. I'm under an imperial mandate. It has been put upon me instead of investigating certain tawdry crimes to deal with the war, which I guess the streets are now calling the Rourke War, and make sure that it gets put under. That's my edict.
Mm-hmm.
Small problem. We've run into a bit of a snag. Namely, the factions that I could deal with have all skittered and gone to ground. And unfortunately, if I am to broker or negotiate any form of peace, it requires me to interact with the remaining two factions. Now, it's come to my attention that, and I point, like, I nod in the direction of his hand. You may or may not have feelings towards one end of this particular pool of people. And unfortunately, I'm playing out of my depth. I have very little knowledge of powerful arcane factions, but I suspect that you might. And I'm hoping that we could help each other.
He just nods like continue,
Okay.
but he doesn't say anything. He just nods. And I think until then, he is statue still.
Alrighty. Um, there are two major factions in this. Like at this point, actually, like a lot of Drav's nerves start like fading because he hasn't died already, and also he's about to start talking business. So he's gonna break things down the way a spider does. He's like, "All right,
Cool.
here's the map of the factions that are divided up into the city," and he like starts talking about like how moving certain pieces causes certain other pieces to react, right? And one of the things that he's pointing out is that he can't like he's gotten to the point where the unseen and the circle are the last two players in the field, and if he can get them to agree to negotiate a truce,
Wait.
you know, go ahead.
Brace. And you hear Brace say, yeah? Bring the map of Duskval. And Brace says, okay. And Brace comes and he has this monster map of Duskval and lays it out. And it's this old map.
So it's out of date by like
it's
how
out
much?
it's out of date. Yeah, it's out of date so much that like the lost district was not lost.
Okay.
And he says he like throws down he puts down like an ink pot and some paper, and he says, show me how you see Duskval.
I think like if this was a TV show, we'd have that like feverish look as like Drav is like drawing, and then in the end you realize that the way that Drav looks at Droskval is a lot like his murder boards. It's basically the whole town is connected with red threads and like, you know, like black threads, and he's running them, and there's like little notes along them. And initially he was just like, yeah, I'm just gonna put a couple of points on this table, that should be enough. But like then he drew like a couple, and he's like, well, I could probably draw a couple more. And then like eventually it's basically just this like interconnected string map, right? Like of
Awesome.
Of like drawn ink lines, you know.
Cool. We'll cut back. We'll cut back on that point. Cool. Maya, you hear this man pulling storm clouds over the bright blue sky, a thing of myth that you've never seen because the sky is broken and everyone knows that. Mm-hmm. And he turns to you and says, Kotar, help me. We can save the world.
Is it right when I look down and see my hands are not my own hands?
Yeah. You're definitely in a smaller frame. Like Maya Tui is statuesque, and this person is not.
Ooh, I think like we can sort of get that sort of POV shot of like Maya like sort of tensing and relaxing her fingers to sort of get a sense for like her bodily autonomy, and. Ooh, like, yeah, does she have like the like sort of freedom and agency to do stuff?
Yeah, do stuff.
Oh, interesting. Is this where I feel compelled to channel the fire of Kotar? Like, yeah, I feel this sort of very like a hot, sort of warm feeling in like my gut.
Yeah.
Sort of like spreads out throughout like my torso and like limbs, and then like Maya sort of like closes her hands and like opens them very quickly, and that's when like this sort of hot sunlight force comes out of her fingertips.
Awesome. What are you trying to do exactly? Are you trying to?
I don't think even she knows. I think like this has been this request for help, and it's like she kind of feels compelled to like to respond to that call, like using whatever intuition she has about the situation in this body that she's in.
Yeah. Awesome.
I guess the help is like to pot the cloud, to pull the clouds over. Is that kind of like what they're?
I think you're not sure, and he's definitely asking for. Yeah, I mean, he's asking for help. If you're offering that help and like lending your fire to whatever the hell is going on here.
I think so. Yeah.
Cool.
Just as a
Uh,
point of note,
yes.
historically, we know that this was not necessarily a friendly ending. If I'm reading the scenario right, you're looking at the Immortal Emperor, and if I'm not wrong, part of the reason the world is broken is because Kotar probably was not the most helpful individual on the planet.
Rad.
Right. Make an attunement roll.
Oh my god. This might be why it
Um,
goes poorly.
and I'm not supposed to do that, but I'm supposed to say make a roll, and then you tell me
But
what you
what
do.
else could it be?
But what else could it be?
Does position and effect matter, or is it just to?
Desperate standard.
Hey, XP,
Oh,
mark
neat.
XP.
Yes, desperate standard.
So desperate.
Ooh. That's a 5.
Sure is.
Oh.
So you do it, but there's a cost, right?
Yeah, terrible cost.
A terrible cost.
I mean, it's desperate, right? So like, it's like a severe consequence or severe harm or whatever.
Yeah.
Probably not harm because it's a vision, but like, yeah. 3 ticks on a clock. Whatever works.
Oh dear.
Um, holy shit. You the man turns and you see the mortal face of the undying emperor as the fire kind of goes out of control, and he says, "What are you doing?" And you watch the sky break and the moon start to fall apart, and you also feel that the water um, in the tank that you were in, it starts to not be body temperature water anymore, and um, you you come to, and like you're in this tank and you're out of the vision, and something is really wrong and you're not sure what. You can feel it, like the water's getting warmer.
Can I resist this? I have an idea for a resist.
Yeah, sure. What's the resist?
So, like, the one thing Maya has spent her life doing is learning how to control whatever spiritual energy like resides within her. So it's like when shit starts to go out of control, that's when like her Maya intuition kicks in, and it's like that's when she tries to shut down and close off and channel and control. So I think like she feels like this fire within her start to sort of like go out of control, and that's I think when she like doubles down like into the ground beneath her feet, and we kind of like see this violet tinge spread out like around this fire, so it's like both burning sort of this very bright orange and this sort of neon purple as like she tries to like sort of rein it in and like use that use the
Awesome.
Yeah, use her grandmother's controlling.
You're trying to imprison the fire.
Yeah, when I'm trying to imprison the fire, exactly.
Trying to put it in a bottle.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Make a resist.
Okay, I feel like this is probably like that's like conviction.
Sounds good. Sounds good. We're off the map here.
Oh, hang on. Sorry, did I?
No, that's right.
That's right.
You're
Okay.
on the right thing.
Yeah.
You got a 6, so it's 0 stress.
I got a 6.
Yeah, so you feel that this fire would have burned down the Dimmer Sisters mansion, most of the Dimmer Sisters. Like it would have been a cataclysmic fire, and you pull it in, and you pull the fire back, and it becomes the shape of a man, and then you're in the vision again, and the water temperature is getting body temperature, and you've basically pulled the fire of Kotar back into the shape of Kotar, and you're you and he's him, and you're on the like the top of this mesa where he and the undying emperor broke the world, and he's standing there. and saying, "How did you get burned by me?"
I think Maya sort of like looks around to do that whole like, wait, like me?
You can see me?
You can see me? Yeah. And I think like once there's a long enough silence for Maya's like, oh, you are talking to me. She says, I quite literally tried to take a walk on your shoes. Well, not literally, but figuratively.
Hmm. Who are the women watching us?
I think
And I think
my
like when you look around the mesa now, you can see like the pairs of young ladies holding hands in the black lace dresses floating at like a distance watching this.
why they're, as far as I understand, some of the most knowledgeable arcane scholars and practitioners of our time, at least.
How far we've fallen. I'm sorry I was burnt. You were burned by me. You are not the first, and I doubt you will be the last. Thank you for raining my fire in. It would have pained me to burn this district down to ashes.
Well, I know at least in our time, your fire has indeed caused a fair amount of damage.
Yes. The cult that is recovering my pieces. There. They're not good people.
Who is these days?
Please don't tell me about the good old days. I really, really don't want to hear that. And he says it, and there's like a bit of good nature to it. He says one of them is very powerful. I can't tell which one, but one of them is a real danger.
I see. And I imagine if left to their own devices, it'll be more death and fire and struggles for power that inevitably end in more death. That's something I'm trying to stop. As foolish as that may sound.
Well, there's 7 of them.
Seven. And how long have they existed as an entity? Do you know?
I'm afraid my calendar is a little out of date.
Understandable.
They have my hand and my eye, but not yet my heart.
And if it is not too bold of me to ask, where does your heart lie?
It's not bold. I wish I could tell you. If it was that simple, well.
In that case, how does one go about trying to win the heart of Kotar? How can one find it?
It's no longer really a romantic thing. It's a shriveled piece of muscle in a stone cairn. It's been a long time since it's been something a maiden or a gentleman would be looking for.
Oh, you sell yourself far too short. Well,
I know that there is a painter. His name is Raffaello. He's linked up in this somehow. It's the only name I've been able to get.
Or fellow. Well, I could inquire about him and where his heart lies in the list.
Yes. If you need to harness my fire, you'll need to learn some control, but it'll be there for you.
I cannot help but feel that will come somewhat naturally to me. And that is not bragging. That is just a lifetime of exercising control over myself and the energies that lie within me.
The way you pulled me back, that was impressive. Thank you again.
Oh, anytime. I cannot say I regret putting myself in a spot to be touched by your fire. I have learned a lot, and yes, it came with a cost, but it is something to have at least seen some of the sky and before it was broken.
Yes, I wouldn't have thought of that. Good luck. Like you feel the fire is like dissipating, and let's cut back to Drav, who has sketched out this wild map of Duskval, while Lord Skurlock stands statue still, watching him. Very like he's standing like with his arm kind of crossed and his head on his chin, and every once in a while he just nods.
I think I correct a lot of the map. I like this is the kind of like cut where like it's just Drav putting the pen into like the inkwell and being like he's done.
Yeah, but I think like it's covered in Drav's writing, right?
Oh yeah.
You're very good, Dravaron. You see the streets in a way that not many do.
Well, I kind of grew up on them.
Lots of people grow up on them, but not a lot get to see and have understanding like you do.
I think he like shoves his hands in his pockets, which is the equivalent of like Drav almost blushing, right? But like I think he looks at Skurlock and he's like, the difference between me and most is that I came out the other side and I changed who I was. I sort of rotate my hand and I'm like, when you become something else, you gain a different perspective. And regardless of what I want.
I think when you say like, when you change what you are, you gain a new perspective. I think like he says, I mean, he doesn't let you go on. He says, I understand this very well.
Yeah, I suppose you would.
Who holds your contract? I would purchase it from them.
Judd helps Strash out. What is this like lingo that I would recognize?
I think it's like ancient, like it's like old fashioned medieval talk of like how you would purchase the rights of a craftsman to come into your house and work for you. Like nobody has a contract anymore. Like it's
no. I think we're gonna do this. I think that Drav holds out his hand and he says, "I own my own contract, but I'd be willing to work with you. That's partially why I'm here."
What he shakes your hand and you feel
something. The reason Ghost Contract Power, I know this because I wrote it. It's on the spider sheet.
Yeah. He says, what is the nature of the work you wish to do together?
So I'm going to lay it out for him. I'm not going to go word by word because I'm just going to summarize. But Drav basically posits, like, he says, like, look, it's obvious that you care about the city or you would have moved somewhere else. There are cities with more money, there are cities where you can turn people of more status, but clearly you are tied to this place and you care about the city because you have not acted to destroy it. And he's like, my job is something that they don't want me to do. My job is to step on the throats of everyone that's underneath me, but I am actually trying to protect the city. And the problem is that I'm wrestling with factions that do not recognize my power and authority. Like, Bluecoats only have so much status, right? Like, if you try going against important or powerful people, you can't because you don't have enough gun, right? Like so to speak, in like Wild West terms. And so what Drav is saying is, like, right now I'm playing in a court where there are two factions that respect each other because they have enough money and power, and I do not have anyone backing me that has a similar amount. Now, I do have a mandate which says that theoretically the Emperor is backing me, but I don't think that he's going to move his ass out of the Imperial City and show up here to, like,
Yeah,
back our
I
claim.
think when you say the Emperor, he recoils and hisses.
Not a fan, I
Do
take
not
it.
speak. Do not speak his name in my house.
Out of character, I don't know his name, but in character, I very politely say, deal. Um, and I say, right now,
Again, I ask, what is the nature of this work you wish to do together?
I need to know, like essentially what Drav is, like, asking him to do is to ally, right? Like, he helps us with information when we need it. He backs our plays, and in return, I have no idea what the fuck he wants from me, but clearly he does want something. I was planning to offer something completely different, but I'll go with whatever it is that he's thinking about as long as he states the terms. And if the terms are someday and that day may never come, I'm okay with that. So I will point something out here, Judd. This is the first time I'm gonna play this card. Hang on, I'm gonna transition to the screen and actually point out that there is a mechanism here. If you look at the mandate, there are certain things that are written in our reputation, which is to say that Maya and I are ambitious, honorable, and team players.
It's so funny that those have ended up to be here. Like, it's just funny how that ended up happening. I just think it's the funniest part of all the game's mechanics and everything. He says, I will offer you aid in exchange for your aid at a later date. Yes.
Good. Um. Okay. Uh. Well, first thing you can do is you can tell me where I can find some of the people that burnt you. Like, I know their name. They go by the Circle of the Flame, but I don't know a lot about them, and neither does anybody that I've asked. I can't talk to them. I can't threaten them. I can't use Bluecoats to cause them to lose money. I can't do anything if I don't know who I'm aiming at. And right now, I don't have a target.
Their leadership is called the Seven. They operate out of a club. It's called the Centuralia Club. They are amateurs. But there's something dangerous about them, and I haven't figured out what yet.
Well, I'm planning to go and kick the hornet's nest over, and if I get anything interesting, I'll let you know.
Be cautious.
I'll bring my investigator. And some Bluecoats.
Be cautious. I would have you survive so that I could ask you to do a favor for me.
Fair. Well, hope to see you soon.
Brace, see him out. I think Brace has like gotten dressed, and I think somewhere in between the cutscenes, Lord Skurlock got dressed too, and he walks you out,
Cool. Yeah. I'm a
walks you
skedaddle
to the door.
the F on
Yeah,
out of Skurlock Manor. Happy that
cool.
I'm alive and I have not taken any trauma or gotten
Right,
mind whammied or whatever it is vampires do. So,
right,
all right.
cool. Uh, awesome. Back to Maya. Uh, Maya, I think you're lifted up out of the tank, and Rosalind brings you a towel and like puts some puts some uh, put some like walls up, like little slide walls, so that you can change and be discreet. And she's got your clothes laid out, and she says the sisters would like to speak with you.
Nice. Especially yeah, Maya like the jangle is like Maya puts on all her wards and like the cloaks and stuff. Probably takes a bit of time for her to get ready.
Yeah,
Um, and then we'll show herself to the Demo Sisters.
cool. You're in the Rosalind walks you into a room and says, "This is where they meet. Um, you'll walk down these stairs and stand in the center. You'll have to go. You'll have to. You'll have to go to the ghost field. They're not here.
I see.
The room is set up to do that, so it will help you, but you should take care. I cannot help you do this."
Well, thank you for your assistance thus far, Rosalind. I really appreciate it. I think Maya like takes a really big deep breath and like probably holds it as she goes into the room and braces herself for engaging with the ghost field.
Yeah. Cool. What do you do?
I how does one go about entering the ghost field? I'm not sure if Maya's like done it on purpose without having some kind of like dead body or handprints to like anchor herself to it.
I mean, maybe she doesn't know. Maybe she I don't know. It can look like what you want it to look like.
You can attune to shift your senses, but actually stepping across, there is an alchemical that does it, or it could be a ritual. But I don't.
Oh, cool.
Maybe there is a ritual enacted that allows you within this circle to roll attune to cross. What does that sound like, John?
Yeah. I bet there probably is like a Sivarosi like ritual that is.
In order to do rituals, though, you need an ability that lets you learn. There's a whole shenanigan. But 8 XP, you could have it.
Right. And you I mean, and you're in a room that's made for this, so that is somewhat helpful. I think the room is round, and like the round part of the room is set into you have to walk stairs going down, and then it's like it looks like a clock face. And all of the hours of the Duskfall clock are marked. And they've got the hours have awesome names: honor, song, silver, thread, flame, pearls, silk, wine, ash, coal, chain, smoke. And like that's all those runes are like all around you.
Oh, rad. Is like the clock face lit? Like, is there a cool like underlighting effect? That's like
I think like as you like start to get ready to attune, you know, they start to take on that blue light.
Oh, nice. I feel like this for sure. Like Maya stands like right in the center of it and like closes her eyes. She probably even like holds like a charm of hers, as she attunes with the space around her. I think like there probably is like the space around her feet like transitions into purple.
Awesome.
And that she probably has like a Sivarosi ritual phrase to like to help her cross over.
Cool. Risky standard. Let's make a roll.
Excellent. Da, da, da. Let's risky standard. Let's see how this goes. Oh, I got a 3.
Cool.
Oh, and then quick question: did my spirit burns reduced the injury that I had from?
Yeah, I think you're like
That might change quickly.
Yeah. Well, one second. So I think you go to step through and something goes wrong, and you're trying to breathe in a place where there's no air, in a place where humans have no business being, and you can feel yourself like starting to almost drown in the ghost field and panic.
I'm definitely calling out for Drav. This is way too. Because this is very eerily similar to like what she envisioned going into the tank at the prison, right? Like when she was up top and like Drav was like down below and like water was gushing inside. I think she calls out for Drav.
Yeah. I think now I'm gonna bump it up to desperate standard. We're gonna make another roll.
Oh, excellent. Desperate standard.
You may. I know it's downtime and you need to save your stress for the job, but you may want to push. I'm just saying.
I will push. Desperate standard. Add a die. Whew, that's
nice. Yeah, and I think you learn to not try to breathe here, not try to be. You learn how to go spirit first rather than body first in this terrible place that shouldn't exist, and all around you are these 12 ghost women sitting at each hour. And you can hear them like talking about you as you're drowning, as you kind of come out of it. They're like, she shows promise, but she has no control. She holds the flame of Kotar. Silk, what more do you want? I want control. I want control, Flame. I want control. You hold them to too high standards. Unrealistic. Ah, she's with us. No longer drowning, are you?
Oh, yeah, I think like we see like Maya, like her panic lessens, like as she realizes that she's not dying.
Yeah.
And I think she like goes to try and speak. Like, she's not quite sure like what her voice is going to do in this space. So I think like she opens her mouth to say something and then just nods instead as she like sort of gets her bearings around this place.
Welcome. Not many people make it here. Maya Tui. Your grandmother speaks very highly of your potential.
Oh my god, this is I think Maya, like, I think that's when she draws herself a bit tighter again, like how we saw her before, like she had the exorcism, and asks like, she's not here, is she? And, like, looks around to see if she can see signs of like her grandmother.
She has not joined this council yet, no.
Yet.
We are ghosts. We are timeless. Maybe someday, but not yet.
I see. I was, well, asked by Rosalind to see you. What is it you wish to discuss?
We would teach you how to wield this flame, how to control your attunement. You are unschooled.
That is accurate. I've had no formal training. Well, since I was a child, really. When I first had to learn how to control myself. So it is funny that that is a quality you do not see in me. I feel like all I've done my whole life is to try and control myself, or more accurately, control the voices that live with me.
Being possessed for as long as you were is a terrible strain. It was probably holding back your own power.
I'm sure my grandmother would find that most ironic, or I find it most ironic. I know that she's always been quite critical of me, despite knowing that I have potential. I don't know. It makes sense that she'd inhibit that in me.
We will send tutors to you. They will find you. You need not come here anymore.
I see. Discreetly, I assume.
They will be discreet. We are concerned that the spirit wardens could follow you here.
Of course.
And what I think one of them says, I'm concerned she's an undercover agent for the spirit wardens right now. And like they start to bicker right in front of you. And it gets quashed. And the ghost at the hour of the flame says, me and two of my sisters will come. We do not believe you are with the spirit wardens. It is a concern, but we do not believe it.
It is a concern I can understand, but it is, yes, one that you need not hold.
We will see you soon.
I look forward to it.
Cool.
I wait your
and I think cool. And I think like when you spend XP on a tune, we can totally just like narrate some cool training montage with that if you'd like.
Excellent.
Awesome. Yeah, I didn't think cool. Good.
So now that we've played an entire session before our downtime,
Before the session.
Shall we just wrap up our downtimes, or how do we want to proceed?
Yeah.
There was an asset we wanted to get still, right?
Yeah.
I am looking forward to telling Drav about what happened.
Drav is still not sure what happened with him. I rolled some dice and I ended up coming out ahead. Cool. I still need to clear my vice. I still need to. I have actually taken zero downtime actions. I need to vice. I need to look for an apartment. Those are my two highest priorities at the moment.
I love the idea of you going apartment hunting after like that meeting with Skull. I could say, all right, now it's time
if you're dead, you don't need an apartment. So
yes.
Also, I was saving actions because I was like, shit, I might just be like, good morning, Lord, and then like I'd be pinned against the wall and there'd be fangs in my neck. I'd be like, oh god, electroplasmic ammo, flashback. Like I was like, I had no idea what was gonna happen. I was like, this is gonna be terrifying. And instead he was very polite. It was charming almost.
Did Maya Tui hit on Kotar? Was that my imagination, or did that totally happen?
I think she did.
I think she did.
Yeah, with the heart bit, that was kind of amazing.
That was Lauren playing into the reckless, like, well, when else are you gonna have a chance to hit on
an ancient powerful demon wizard?
I did not see that coming at all. So,
but neither did I. I was like, I feel like Maya's feeling cheeky.
Yeah, it was awesome. I loved it. I just was like, okay, great. Cool.
Cool. can I advise real quick?
Yeah. What are you advising? What are you doing?
I think I'm having dinner with Rona and Hopper.
Something super mundane. Let's just like
Yeah.
dial it back. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's totally Drav. Drav is just like, all right, so I went playing cards, and Ulf Ironborn sat down at my table. Then I went to work, and I had to write a letter to protect my life, and then I had to go talk to Lord Skurlock. What do I do next? It's like, we go to, like, some, like, dive bar and order greasy food, and, like, talk about really normal things.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's how I vice.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think there's a couple of big fights coming up. Rona's not on the card, so like you all have a little bit of distance from it, and so you can like talk about the fights as just like fans, and so you're just like arguing about who's going to win, and it's just super chill and drunk and greasy. That sounds awesome.
That sounds very relaxing, actually.
It does.
Sounds good. Sounds totally good.
I crit. 3. Wait, let me make sure that I'm on my sheet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Ha ha! I have exactly enough not to overindulge.
Excellent.
Awesome.
I have no idea what a crit means on a vice roll, but I'll take it.
Cool.
Awesome.
You are super relaxed.
I am super relaxed.
Super relaxed.
And I'd like to. Good. So we do actually have a crew this time around. By the way, we have a bunch of people at our beck and call. So I feel pretty okay at going at. So like traditionally, this is where I would train. I still kind of feel the impetus to, but I think I'm not gonna. I think I'm gonna work on my long-term project. I'm gonna work on 2 separate long-term projects. The first one is I'm going to be looking for an apartment.
Cool.
And the second one is I'm going to be working with. So I want to start a clock, and let's talk about the size of this clock. I want to start the clock to sort of like figure out who some of the unseen are.
Ooh.
Because I think that the Wraiths have given us some information, and we found out enough information on what to look for. That I feel like that's maybe a thing that I could be working on. And I might spend a coin to also start looking for dirt on Dejera.
Okay.
Does that all sound fine?
Yeah. The unseen. So you're looking for the actual member. You're not looking for like a safe house or any bullshit like that.
Yeah. I mean, and let's have a conversation here. Like, I don't know that I need to know who, like, that like, specifically, like, Bob is a member of the Unseen. I just need to know that I need to have enough information such that when I go to talk to someone, I can say with confidence that I'm not talking to, like, a random person on the street.
Okay, so I'm not sure exactly what you're looking for.
Nah, screw it. We're going all the way. Yeah, I want to get a member of the Unseen. I already talked to the Dimmer Sisters about it. They said that they were going to look into it. Let's make it as hard as we need to make it, and I'll just work on it.
Okay.
I understand this is probably not a small clock. It's fine.
Yeah. So what are my clock options?
I mean,
4, 6, 8.
So here's the thing, Judd. If you think this is a really complex problem, we can solve it in steps. So you can say, all right, so the first step is you need to find a ritual to crack their supernatural juju. And I'm like,
yeah,
cool. That's cool. I already have somebody working on it. What's the size of that clock? If it's 6, then I keep feeding coin to the Dimmer Sisters until that clock is filled. You're like, all right, now that you've done that, you need to actually like surveil the Silk Shore where their stuff is.
Cool. So
technically it could be like a 50-segment clock. It just divided into smaller clocks, which are like steps.
So the first step is the 6 clock is going to be a 6-step clock working with the Dimmer Sisters to break their second sight, to like hack their second sight so you can see it too.
Done. All right, awesome. I'm going to make that a 6 clock. Let's do this. So step 1, I'm looking for my apartment. And what I'm doing is I'm going to roll some relate. and I'm gonna look for specific specialists. Because last time I searched for an apartment, I found a list of acceptable possibilities. Now I'm looking for people that are gonna help me secure it. Right?
Awesome.
Like find like master locksmiths, find whatever the hell I need to. So that's what I'm doing for my apartment hunt.
Cool.
So I'm gonna roll that real quick. Boop.
Roll it.
Boop. Boop. I clicked the buttons. Nothing appeared. Oh, wait, no, 0. Haha! Hey! Guess what, Judd?
What's that? You got a new apartment?
New apartment time!
Nice.
Yay.
And then let's see how the Dimmer sisters do. What do you think I should roll for that? I mean, I feel like I've used my high relate score a lot, but I don't know what else I could possibly roll here other than they're my friends.
Right.
I mean, secure maybe? Exploit maybe?
Yeah, maybe.
Observe maybe? I don't know.
Maybe observe. Maybe you're helping them find something. Yeah.
Okay, let's do it. I'm just gonna roll it as if it were a fortune roll. Boop. Alright, I only get 1 tick on my unseen hack so far. It's okay. I imagined this would take a little while. Alright, good. And then finally, I am going to spend a coin. I think what I'm doing is I'm bribing people. That's why the coin is spent. Because I am looking for things that may have been hushed up in the train explosion.
Okay.
No, wait. We already know we know already that, what the hell is her name? Silvernail's gal set the bomb off, but she didn't know why she was doing it. 'Cause she admitted to that when we talked to her. No, fuck it. I think that's what I'm doing is I'm bribing people just to, like, look for other crimes that she could have been involved in, right? Because, like, we already know that Dejera asked for the explosion on the train. And we know from Lissa that the reason she asked for the explosion on the train was to change grain prices. So what I'm looking for is other people that I can bribe to find out information on just other places to pursue investigation. Because right now, her wanting to blow up a train is enough. She's not the one that actually set the bomb, even though she paid someone to do it. So, like, I don't think that's enough to pin on her to actually, like, put her in a jail. So yeah, that's what I'm doing. I would like to look for more clues or more avenues of investigation that could lead to dirt on her. How's that sound?
Got it. Cool. I think the first step is linking the explosive to the hive's one of the hive's mercantile interests.
Cool. Is that a clock or is that an acquire asset information?
I think that's a clock. I think that's a 6-part clock.
Okay, cool. In which case, let me exploit some fools. I think I make 2 segments on it. Alright, good. That sounds good. I think I'm done with my downtime actions.
Cool. Whew. My goodness. 2 hours later.
Do we want to take a break? I think Lauren still has one. And then we're done.
Let's finish downtime, and then let's take a break.
That sounds like
Brad.
fun.
I think there was that we're gonna get an asset for something.
Oh, you wanted to? Was that for the 40 people?
Oh yes, yeah, for the 40 people. That's right. Yeah. I was thinking about this too. This might be like a hookup through Issa even. Like if Issa can like reconnect me with someone that I met at the college, or if Issa knows of someone who would be willing to take on that kind of those kind of guests.
Cool. Let's make a roll. Let's see. I have no idea.
Excellent. I feel like this is probably like I guess like a relate roll, perhaps. Just to sort of like try and touch upon like old contacts or like sort of grease up Issa enough
Sounds
to get her on board. Rad. This is probably when we're out in the Deathlands again.
Maybe you guys have dinner at the Mustang.
Yes, definitely dinner at the Mustang. Does not go well, though. I got a 3.
Yeah, I think
it means you acquire a poor asset.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's not good. Like, those people won't be under good circumstances.
Oh, if only we had money.
We do. We have 1 coin in the mandate. And I do have some assets I can liquidate to get us more coin if we need to.
Rad. Should we spend that coin? Yeah, how much? Yeah, these people.
So the thing is that we gave our word to these people that we would find a way to protect them. So if we need to spend all of our funds to do that, I don't actually have a problem with that.
Neither do I. That sounds fine.
Wow. Awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the lives of 40 people, which includes family members, and admittedly they're crooks, but I don't know. Drav doesn't like putting them in jeopardy.
I think Maya agrees. We're honorable after all.
Yeah, we are. All right, so do we want to burn our last coin there?
Yeah,
and Judd,
let's do it.
Tell me how much I need to spend. I actually technically just marked up my stash from the a little something on the side, so if I have to...
I think you need to throw like 3 coin at this thing.
All right. Oh, god damn it. These guys cost too much. All right, fine. I do it. I just pull up my floorboards and look at my money longingly and sadly. And then I might clutch on the bag that I slide over to Issa like a second too long and then just give it to her.
Yeah. And I think like that gets you like all the travel passes, everything you need for being, you sending them to work for a friend of yours in Imperial City and like running a warehouse that your friend just acquired. It's basically like the person who trained you in detective techniques in Imperial City is like a noblewoman, and her family just acquired a warehouse because that's what rich families do. And yeah, sure, she'll put them up there if they'll work. And they're thieves and people who appraise stolen goods. So they're pretty good at that kind of thing.
Nice.
Awesome. All right, shall we take a break?
Yeah.
Sounds good.
All right, folks, bear with me while I set the timer. I was not 100% prepared here. Yes. We will be back shortly, so hopefully you'll stick around for the second half of our adventures.
Yes.
Transition. All right, cool. We are back. So,